Johnston is, it just makes those comebacks harder and harder.
Yeager misses a pair there. What a pass, what a catch, what a score. Lewis now with 11.
So many great playmakers for Coach Jillick's team.
I've only seen Coach Jillick put his arms up once in this first half, right?
I think his girls have executed that game plan great. I think the officiating's been great. There hasn't been much reason for him to not be happy with what's going on the floor. A lot of smiles over there on the Johnston bench right now.
Valley battling. Rose with it, or that's Lit. Brown drives in, tries a spin move, and she travels.
The spin move itself was fine, and she took a couple little stutters right as she finished it up, and that's where she got dinged for the travel.
Lewis. Guarded out here by Moon. 3 from Ryan is going to be short. Lewis goes back up with it and then decides to dribble it out. Tanky. Tipped away by the Tigers. Yeager up to Lit. The left-handed layup is good. Her first 2.
Yeah, that's actually where the Tigers been really good in transition today. That's where they've been able to get a lot of their baskets.
Phillips. Balsley drives in, gets in the land of tall trees, but is too strong. Yeager grabs the board. Yeager has 700 career rebounds and 1,000 points. That's a great career. 3 shot from White is no good. And Lit grabs the loose ball. Moon, high shot, good.
I like the patience. They were able to draw the shot clock down, like the patience there to eventually find Moon in the corner. That's that deliberateness that they're going to need on the offensive end.
Tanky had it for a moment. Now dishes. Floater in the lane, good. Phillips, her first 2.
Just the great ball movement that eventually ends up in a wide open look from 8 feet out.
Before we get to half, want to say hello to everybody watching in schools across the state today as they're trying to study and watch basketball at the same time. Glad to have you in classrooms across the state. Final 15 seconds. Johnston is putting on a session in good shooting and rebounding. There's some good defense by Lit. 5 seconds to go. Lit kicks it to the corner. The 3 at the buzzer, no good. Brown had a chance to cut that lead, but just couldn't quite get it done. So we'll go to the break with Johnston in control, 35-19. Andy, as you're going to the break, will make you ponder the question, what do you talk about if you're Valley and Johnston? But we'll step away and recap the first half in a moment. You are watching the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union State Basketball Tournament from Wells Fargo Arena on the digital network powered by Mid-American Energy.
At Mid-American Energy, we're one company serving 1.6 million people who all need energy that's available 24/7. That's why we work 24/7. That's why we make investments in our systems that make us more resilient to extreme weather. That's why we generate power from all available resources to cover the variables in supply and demand. And that's why when the power is knocked out, we work around the clock to restore power to you. Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Something exciting is growing on Iowa farms these days. Innovation. From tractors that seed, weed, and harvest with data-driven precision to drones that scout or plant cover crops to protect soil and water. Even our animals live in smart homes with round-the-clock care. Technology keeps your food safer, water cleaner, and makes us more sustainable. Because what we do here benefits everyone here. Life on the farm makes everyone's life better.
Halftime of the 2024 Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union State Basketball 5A quarterfinal. You can see Johnston in control here at halftime. Game 1 of 4 in Class 5A today. And now we'd like to take a moment to once again thank our title sponsor, the Iowa Farm Bureau, for their support of the state basketball tournament. Earlier this week, the IGHSAU had the opportunity to speak with Iowa Farm Bureau President Brent Johnston to learn more about Iowa Farm Bureau's support of the IGHSAU and student athletes across the state.
Thanks for joining us for the 2024 Girls State Basketball Tournament. I'm Matt Hominoff with the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. We want to thank all of our partners for all the great support we get from around the state. None more important than our proud title sponsor, Iowa Farm Bureau. With me today is the president of the Iowa Farm Bureau, Brent Johnston. Thanks for joining us, Brent.
Yep.
Why does the Iowa Farm Bureau feel so strongly about supporting the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union and our tournament games?
Well, Matt, the Iowa Farm Bureau has been the title sponsor for the Girls Union now for 19 years. And once again, very proud to be a part of this year's state girls basketball tournament. And, this tournament highlights the work ethic, teamwork, resilience, and dedication that these girls have contributed for a year's worth of dedication to their craft. And just like that same spirit, the Iowa farmers are the best in what they do across this entire country, not only in production, but also in conservation. And you put all that together, and there's a lot here to celebrate.
Yeah. Your support for the IGHSAU goes beyond youth and education. What other support does the Iowa Farm Bureau provide Iowa's youth?
Yeah. Well, Matt, here at Farm Bureau, we believe that today's youth is tomorrow's leaders, and we're proud to support them in many different ways. One of those is by our scholarship program. Every single year, we give nearly $500,000 across the entire state to those kids so that they can continue their education at a higher level. We've also partnered with the Girls Union and the Boys Association now for several years to offer concussion insurance for those student athletes who compete in sanctioned sports across the entire state so that they can do so at a high level and feel safe doing so. And that is at no cost to that student or their families. Third, we've given teachers across the state nearly $500,000 so that they can properly equip their classrooms to do their jobs better. And most recently, just last year, the Iowa Farm Bureau gave the Iowa FFA Foundation $1 million so that they can properly place ag teachers and ensure that students across the state have an exposure to agriculture and how it affects their lives every day.
Yeah, so the students participating in this year's tournament are taking home some pretty neat souvenirs. But one new item that they're taking home are the championship ball caps. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. The girls who are competing at this year's tournament are actually taking home quite a bit of swag this year. Of course, we have the bag tags and the signature basketballs that the girls have been used to seeing over the years. But this year, we've added a championship ball cap so that those girls who actually win the tournament have an extra souvenir to remember that if they put their minds to it, they can accomplish anything.
Well, thanks again, Brent, for both your and everyone at Iowa Farm Bureau's support of the Iowa Girl over the years.
In Iowa, we grow corn. A lot of corn. Corn is what supports us. It feeds our livestock, it fuels our vehicles, empowers our state. It nourishes our families. A cash crop? Yeah, but it's way more than that. Corn sustains us. It's who we are. Without it, we'd just be... well, you get the picture. In Iowa, we grow corn. But the truth is, corn grows Iowa.
The thing I love about Clark is that you're never just one thing. I'm not just a student. I'm a future doctor. I'm an athlete on a history-making team. I'm a community member supporting the causes I care about. I'm a friend, a neighbor, a leader. At Clark, you can become anything. What will you be? Be you at CU.
Halftime from Wells Fargo Arena. Valley trails Johnston 35-19. Your first half statistics as compiled by the Girls High School Athletic Union really is a lot in the favor of Johnston, Andy. They're tied with rebounds at 15. But it's the points is where the big difference is. Jenica Lewis with 10, and then a lot of 5s and 6s. Riley and Tanky with 5, 6 for Jenkins and Kinnitz. 2 from Phillips. For Valley, it is 7 for White, 3 for Moon, 2 for Brown, 5 for Yeager, 2 for Litt. But if you start looking at field goals, it's a 54% shooting, which is, for Johnston, right about average, 51%. When you're shooting well, it's hard to beat a Johnston.
Well, and it's coming for the paint for Johnston. That's where they're able to get all their looks. Valley, when they're in the paint, it's been on transition opportunities. For Johnston, they've been able to work their half-court game and get into the lane and get those, and they're converting their finishing in the paint. That's helped out a bunch. And then the turnovers as well, 10 turnovers for Valley. We saw like 3 in the first minute and a half of the game. That's led to a lot of points off of the turnovers, and that's where this difference has come for Johnston. But that's how they do it. That's what Johnston, that's their game plan throughout the year.
Johnston's back out onto the court. What did they talk about at half?
Well, I think if you're Johnston, again, you just continue to pressure things defensively. I'm not talking about full court pressure, but continue to force Valley away from the basket, make them really have to work for it in the half court, and really try to limit Valley's run-out opportunities.
And Valley, when they come back out, they're in a little bit longer. I know you can't dramatically change everything. So what do you do?
Well, I think if you're Valley, I'm not going to put it past Coach Uthoff to maybe throw a little pressure at him in the full court right now. Try to change the tempo of this game. Don't let Johnston get comfortable in that half-court set. Force them to maybe get up and down the floor a little bit more. I know that's what we talked about in the pregame about what Johnston wanted to do, but I think when you're behind by this much right now, you got to make some drastic changes, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit more pressure on the basketball.
16 minutes to go for one of these two teams. We'll take a break and come back. Half number 2 in a moment. You're watching the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Girls State Basketball Tournament on the digital network powered by Mid-American Energy.
At Mid-American Energy, we're one company serving 1.6 million people who all need energy that's available 24/7. That's why we work 24/7. That's why we make investments in our systems that make us more resilient to extreme weather. That's why we generate power from all available resources to cover the variables in supply and demand. And that's why when the power is knocked out, we work around the clock to restore power to you. Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
The Iowa Farm Bureau is proud to present this amazing state tournament and celebrate the accomplishments of Iowa's student athletes. To the Iowa Farm Bureau, this is more than just a sport. It's hometown pride, it's hopes and dreams, it's our future leaders, it's a reason to do more and be more. And it's that farm-strong spirit that can only be found in Iowa. Congratulations to the student athletes and coaches on a successful year, and remember, today's successes are just the beginning of tomorrow's achievements.
Hey, you know what? Official state tournament merchandise is now available online. Time to get your smartphones out. Scan that QR code that we will eventually get for you on the screen. But there's another way to do it. It's the IGHSAU.org. That's really the old way you want to do it, and the good way. Browse and customize your merchandise to match your style. We need tank tops for basketball this year, Andy. What a warm day. Oh, my goodness. We're going to have a T-shirt toss?
Yeah, they're launching T-shirts. Maybe we'll get one. What are the odds one can fit me? Not very good right now.
They were practicing in pregame on how to do this.
There's a lot of pressure behind that.
Yes, and you're never popular when you're chucking T-shirts.
They started off the girls' state wrestling. They started off the day. Shooting goes out, and as they did it, they had that crowd up ready to I mean, you've already got a fun crowd already at state wrestling of a lot of aggressive people. You add that to it, add a T-shirt cannon, and you got it amps things up a bunch.
Now we are opposite the Johnston side. The Valley fans are behind us. That's a pretty average Johnston crowd for us, a program that has gotten very used to being here at state. Valley, you know, they're we're the 8th seed, but it's our third time. Still pretty good turnouts for a Monday morning.
It is, yeah, 10 o'clock game, and, you know, it's one of those things, the turnaround is so quick. It's not like some other sports where you've got a full week to prepare for what's going to happen and when those games will take place. So Johnston always, though, brings such big crowds to this. Johnston, you know, if we'll see Centennial later on. They've always got, especially at state volleyball this year, they made a name for themselves. There's just some really, and obviously being local schools as well, that's going to help a bunch. Waukee Northwest, you're going to see some big crowds from them later today as well, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Next is Waukee and Centennial, then Davenport North and Cedar Falls, Dowling and Pleasant Valley to end 5A. Then we'll get into the 3A action after that with Esterville, Lincoln Central, Forest City, Mount Vernon, and Harlan before we end the night with Des Moines Christian and Benton Community. Here it is Valley and Johnston, and the underhand scoop shot by Rose is good to open up scoring for the Tigers.
Yeah, good take by Rose, turned it into a little more of an isolation game, goes one-on-one.
Any defensive changes that you see yet, Andy, for Valley? Looks pretty similar. Nice drive and a foul. Kinnitz is fouled on her way to the basket there.
As you watch Kinnitz penetrate, and what the general tendency is when someone's driving in, you watch your offense kind of collapse and you let them find you, whoever's driving, find you and get it to you. As you watch Kinnitz penetrate, everybody backs away. Everybody's moving out to get an open look at three, and it makes it so hard for Valley to shift over and help on defense.
There's a look at that drive again, and it was White that was whistled for the foul on that play. Lead now down to 15. Valley back with the basketball on the right side. Valley from West Des Moines. Nice drive and block by Lewis. So not only can she score, she plays pretty good defense too.
Well, you notice the same thing, though, the Valley's trying to do now offensively. You see them spread out a little bit more, and Valley going a little bit more one-on-one right now to start off the second half.
Lit with it. Yeager clears out Jenkins for White and then gets the rebound.
Big save by Yeager there to keep this possession alive.
Yeager's one who can shoot from anywhere. Right now, she's from underneath the basket. She's going to the free throw line, too.
Little high-low game, change the angle. Got things in, got Yeager freed up. Good finish by her through the contact.
Jenica Lewis whistled for the foul there.
But as they changed that angle, got things back up top, it really freed her up, and you saw Lewis just a little bit late to react.
Yeager headed to the University of Northern Iowa to play for Tanya Warren next year and hits the free throw. She now has 10. She scored 25 against Southeast Polk this year, 19 against Ankeny. She's really one of those good in and out players, and we have a timeout by Johnston. Lead down to 12. No cause for concern, or just let's just refocus?
I think he just wants to refocus right now and talk about how things are going on the defensive end, because Valley's got some really nice looks down low here to start the second half. And it's the chess match within the game right now then that has to happen, because then you've got Coach Uthoff over on the other end. You want to stay one step ahead. They made a nice halftime adjustment. Now you're going to see Johnston come out with their adjustment. What's Valley's next plan of attack?
Uthoff in his fourth different team to state, second for Valley for girls. He brought West Delaware boys here twice, so no stranger Coach Chad Gillick in his 20th season of coaching, 12th here at Johnston. He knows where the bathrooms are at, the locker rooms, the hallways.
And that's necessary. Your first time here, you're looking all over the place.
Jenkins on the block. Turnaround, ball just hits the body.
Great anticipation by Yeager to cut her off.
Now White. And right now it looks like Valley's playing 5 out, but now Yeager gets onto the block. She pops out. 3 on the way. That's off the mark. And it's going to be off Johnston. Tanky and Kinnitz were there and just ran into each other.
Exactly. Both were going after the ball. I mean, definitely a mistake of aggression, which is what you want. But, yeah, both of them just ran into each other, and ball stays with Valley, able to preserve the possession.
Valley by 12 could cut it to single digits here on this possession, which would be huge. Brown guarded by Kinnitz. Tipped away by Lewis, again denying the pass.
Just not able to really get in that rhythm, when you constant deflects. They've had the ball now for going on a minute on the Valley end of the floor.
Well, Andy, it's like in football. When you're trying to limit possessions of a high-powered offense, you're doing the same thing here if you're Valley. Rose hits the deck, and then a loose ball. Tied up, still fighting for it, and Jenkins is going to be called. No, they're going to say she held. So a jump ball called right where a lot of action happened.
Yeah, they were able to just, as a lot of hecticness going on, but right before the ball got thrown out of there, and honestly, just incredible strength by Jenkins to rip it out, but definitely a held ball.
Phillips in on an IMT insurance substitution. Learn how you can be worry-free with IMT at imtins.com. Nice move by Riley. I've always been amazed, Andy, at the ability Riley has and how much control of her body for passing, for shots like that.
When she's not one of the taller players. She's not short, but not one of the taller players on the floor. She gets down low, and so many times you see players get down low, they get their back to the basket and don't realize how open they actually were. Riley's not one of those players. She sees when she's open, and she finishes.
There's something about having court vision and knowing where you're at. Brown kicks it to the corner. Shot clock down to 5. Rose drives. She steps on the line. So 31 seconds go off the clock, and Valley doesn't get a shot off. They turn it over.
Again, they're taking their time, which I like, but they got to have a plan there when that shot clock is winding down. They've been able to get their buckets when it's been earlier in the clock.
And Johnston, give them credit there for collapsing, knowing the situation. We talk about the awareness of the game. Johnston knew that if she can't get that pass off, there's not much time to get a good shot off.
Well, Valley right now staying within striking distance, and that's going to nice look down low. Oh, not able to finish. But, Valley staying within striking distance right now after it looked like Johnston might have been ready to run.
Coach Gillick and his squad trying to get into Thursday's semifinal as Lewis hits a pair, now with 13. Lit the floor, General. Now to Yeager.
We wouldn't be surprised to see Lit freed up for a big shot here at some point.
Brown has not been afraid to drive, trying to draw contact, but Johnston's been blocking every shot. It's going to be a 4-on-4 game here for a moment. Tanky on Yeager. Backs down, left side, extends, and scores.
That's such a slick move by Tanky there. And Valley once. I wondered what, didn't see what was going on.
Timeout on the floor as well for us at the 3:44 mark. Johnston 42, Valley 24. This is the high school girls state basketball tournament on the digital network powered by Mid-American Energy.
Mid-American Energy, we're one company serving 1.6 million people who all need energy that's available 24/7. That's why we work 24/7. That's why we make investments in our systems that make us more resilient to extreme weather. That's why we generate power from all available resources to cover the variables in supply and demand. And that's why when the power is knocked out, we work around the clock to restore power to you. Mid-American Energy. Obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Hey, Andy, what do you know? Johnston's here drumming it out. Johnston's had a lot to cheer. As we went to break, Valley had to call timeout because it's something you have said over and over today. What happened?
Those streaks that Johnston goes on. You feel like you're within striking distance. You're there. You're chipping away. And just like that, they go on a run. They had it down to 12. And just like that, it's back up to an 18-point lead for the Dragons.
That is this thing with this Johnston team. They are, I've been asked a lot here the last few days, can anybody hang with Johnston? Valley's hanging with them right now. This looks like it's a little lopsided, but Valley is it's about matchups this time of year, and if Valley can just keep possessions as going down to the ground, and there's going to be a foul on Riley as Litt went down to the floor.
The foul didn't happen until Litt was on the floor. Litt actually fell down on her own, watched that happen, but then Riley jumped on to try to get the basketball, and that's where the foul got called.
You had said earlier about getting tighter to the screen. She couldn't have got much. She was almost in her jersey on that screen.
Just right there, yeah, you want to rub the hips.
Litt with it, top of the key, guarded again by Riley. Under 3.5 to play, third quarter.
Ashley Brown, a leader on this Valley team, just a sophomore. I think we're going to have a lot of fun watching her in this CIML and likely the state tournament for several years to come.
Yeager kicks. Now wide open three. Little off the mark for Moon. And Valley gets another opportunity. 5 on the shot clock. 3 is up. Front iron no good by White. And Tanky grabs the loose ball.
Good communication actually from the officiating crew. They all looked at each other and they all said no, the ball did not hit the rim.
Jenkins back up on the rebound is fouled. But let's give a lot of credit to Phillips on that drive. Actually, yeah, it was Phillips on the play before. That was an absolute schoolyard play.
It's just as you watch Johnston, it's not just the height, but the length. There's a lot of long arms out there. There's been so many blocked shots. You see there one of the taller ones on the floor right now with Jenkins, and she's one that's made a lot of it go. But once we get our stats back up, I'm curious because feels like there's been so many blocked shots today by the Dragons, and not just the ones that are blocked fully, but the ones that are altered as well. It just makes things so hard to run your offense.
Jenkins goes 1 of 2 from the free throw line, allowing Valley. Nice cut to the basket and missing the rebound. Tipping it is McDaniel. Litt somehow comes up with it, and then she's fouled by Lewis.
Jenica Lewis, I've got a kick out of it. I think she's played this entire game with a huge smile on her face. Every time you look up at her, whether it's a good play or a bad play, just constantly playing with a smile on her face.
Johnston with 4 blocks.
Oh, that's all. It sure feels like more.
Yeah, it feels like more. I finally had a chance to look that up on that foul, and we're going to keep it.
Going back to that just the missed layup right now, we talked about the margin for error. Those are if you want to pull an upset in a game like this, those are the ones that you have to be able to convert.
And Valley turns it over. Tanky left behind 3 good.
Tanky in a rhythm, and it's for a 6 foot tall player to be able to shoot 50% from 3, and that's why Eiley Tanky many years ago committed to Iowa State, and that's one of the reasons that she's was a sought after college prospect. The length and obviously the ability to get it done.
She's the team's leader in scoring and rebounding. And a timeout, Valley. Again, just a little bit of a helter-skelter. I think Valley's trying to keep this thing from getting any more. Just you can lose focus for that last minute 43. Matt Utoff says, all right, hey, I think that's actually what he just said. Hold on. We've only got a minute 43 here because all of us, it's already 22.
So you can fall into the trap of trying to play outside what you actually can get done, and it's so easy to do against Johnston to try to do stuff that you just kind of get forced into being uncomfortable, and I think that's the point we've reached right now for Valley. We've seen some uncharacteristic things happening.
Valley actually lost 7 of 8 at one point this season. They lost to Polk, Ankeny, Waukee, Northwest, Centennial, Johnston, and Downey with only a win against Urbandale in that mix. And then they lost 2 right before the tournament, Waukee and Ankeny, before beating Liberty and Ankeny to get into the tournament. Coach Utoff knows that margin is small. In those losses, though, was an injured Elise Yeager.
And that's a big factor for Valley, not having her around, the leading scorer.
Phillips tips it, now leaves it for Jenkins, misses the shot, and it's 2 Tigers fighting for it. McDaniel rips it from Yeager, and then we're going to get a foul on Balsley.
At the beginning of the year, in several different broadcasts, we talked about how it would not be a surprise at all to see a 500 CIML team find their way, or even a sub-500 CIML team find their way into the state tournament, just with the depth this particular year that exists in Central Iowa. And, Valley, one of those teams, they came into the postseason, they were 11-10 when the postseason started. So as you look at that and you talk about losing 7 of 8, well, all but one of those teams you mentioned were state tournament teams that they lost to in that stretch.
Well, 2, Northwest and Ankeny. Or, Northwest, you're right.
Northwest, yes.
That's the only one. As we approach a minute to go, and Tanky takes the basketball, leaves it now for Ryan, who's fouled. I want to go back to the league for a minute, because last year that was the conversation too. How strong is the CIML? Coach Jennifer Getz, I can go reenact where I was standing when I heard her say multiple times, I'm not listening to this domination. I hear all about domination of this league. They proved it last year in a one-game playoff in that championship game that they were not going to be denied.
Well, and quite honestly, the depth doesn't matter when there's only one champion. They don't care about who gets second, third, or fourth at that stage. It's all about who the champion can be, and Pleasant Valley has certainly had their run of success across the board in girls athletics for years right now. They just continue to raise the standard and raise the standard when you see what they've done in multiple sports. We just saw them in the state softball championship. We see them at state volleyball year after year. Some great cross-country runners. Just to really have things going out there in their athletic program down in the southeast part of the state.
Phillips, now it's the other Phillips. Balsley. Phillips pulls up her dribbles, kind of stuck. Shot clock approaching 5. Give and go, little hesitation, no good by Ari. 3 seconds to McDaniel's got to shoot it. At the buzzer, it's good if it goes. I think she lost track where she was on the floor and the time on the clock. That's how quarter number 3 ends. Johnston has now pulled out to a 24-point lead, 48-24. Back for the 4th in a moment. This is the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Digital Network, powered by Mid-American Energy.
At Mid-American Energy, we're one company serving 1.6 million people who all need energy that's available 24/7. That's why we work 24/7. That's why we make investments in our systems that make us more resilient to extreme weather. That's why we generate power from all available resources to cover the variables in supply and demand. And that's why when the power is knocked out, we work around the clock to restore power to you. Mid-American Energy, obsessively, relentlessly at your service.
Frank, when you think Fairway, you think fresh. Is that the winning culture you've tried to create?
Penelope Pineapple, what an unbelievable produce performance. How does your team stay so fresh?
Sunkissed Orange. Is it true Fairway has offered the freshest produce in town since 1938?
What can we say? Our produce is so fresh, we're speechless.
The Iowa Bankers Association is the proud sponsor of the Parade of Champions and the Iowa Student Achievement Award. Quarter number 4, the Valley Tigers of West Des Moines, the Dragons of Johnston. Both Polk County teams. Both have played twice. They've played twice this season against each other. Both of those games won by Johnston. The Dragons in control here of game number 3 in the season series. Valley has the basketball, and that is Tylee White, and she is fouled.
Valley just a little bit late on some of these passes. They've got girls open, cutting through, and they have to wait to the long arms of Johnston have the initial lanes cut off, but they're passes that you want to complete just a little bit earlier on the cuts.
I think if you're Valley, you're okay with how this game, in the sense of you've kept Johnston somewhat in check. They're under 50 points. We mentioned their season average of 73. Brown takes the 3. That misses. And Jenkins the easy rebound.
Valley down to shooting under 25% for the game from field goal range and 21% from 3. And those are some numbers that needed to be higher today for them to really have a shot to pull the upset.
Jenkins with it on the baseline. Turnaround off the block, gets the ball, coaxes it down for 2. Jenkins now with 9.
Yeah, and she does a nice job using her body, keeping the defenders away. Able to go to the right hand and just enough English on the ball up off the backboard.
Lit. White, the great shooter, watches that go in with the layup. Riley up ahead, kicks and leaves it, and puts it into the hands of Avery Ryan. The problem is, Avery Ryan is out of the game right now. She's on the bench. Now, confirm this. Are they opening up the roof today for the rest of the games?
They definitely could. I was here a couple weeks ago for an Iowa Wolves game, and they had confetti falling down, not on purpose. It was left over from something else, so the game was constantly getting disrupted from confetti falling on the court from wherever it had fallen from the night before or whenever they had done it.
Oh, wow. What a 3 from Jenica Lewis. Woo! That's her second 3 of the game. She now has 16.
So part of me is expecting that to happen again today. If we open up that roof right now, boy, that would feel good too. This ice that we're playing on chills you to the bone after being down on here for a while.
What do we call that? Natural air conditioning?
Yeah, you don't have to pull in any extra cold air down here. We saw that same thing in these arenas. They get used for a lot of different things. Obviously, Wells Fargo here, we've got the ice, had it over in Iowa City on the ice for volleyball, and then for girls state wrestling as well. So a lot of multi-purpose arenas. Just got to know what's coming.
Layup is good by Lewis. Off the great feed.
She's up to 18 points on the day, and it's really hard to say it's a quiet 18, but it really hasn't been. It is. That's the best way to describe it.
White, top of the key, 3 good. Tylee White with 10, the freshman. I hate to say it, and Coach doesn't want to say it's good experience for the future. She wants to win today, and she's not quitting. Riley in the lane, no good. Yeager comes up with it, pushes the temple, but Tanky breaks it up. We go back the other way from the right side this time, and good for Kinnitz.
Yeah, that's a really nice move by Kinnitz. Again, starts on the left side, works her way with a couple steps to get over to the right side, and just enough oomph on the ball to get it in.
4.5 to play. Johnston in control as Remsburg is fouled. And we're going to have 5 new Johnston Dragons come in here. All substitutions are brought to you by IMT Insurance. Learn how you can be worry-free with IMT at imtins.com. So here's the thing, Andy. If you're Johnston, you have the luxury of emptying the bench at the 4:30 mark because you have to play 3 games in 5 days.
That's what you're counting on, and you're in it for the long game. I mean, you can't coach, you can't prepare like you're in it for the long game, like you mentioned before, that 1-game playoff. But when the time comes and you can have opportunities like this to rest girls early to prevent injuries, that's certainly the best time to take that opportunity. And you lead by, my math isn't so good. Was that 28 points right now?
Yes.
But it's not like you're bringing in players that can't get the job done either. We've seen a lot of these gals play throughout the course of the year as well.
Shot off the mark. Rebound goes to Ari Phillips, one of the ones who checked in at the last break. Phillips drives in, left hand good.
And Phillips just a freshman, and she's going to be a good one. Ari and Dia Phillips, they are twin sisters out there, and they are going to be the next crop of great athletes for the Johnston Dragons.
And how many times have we said that? Balsley, that was a lob like she was going to dunk it. Balsley might have some ups as a soccer player. The pass into Ryan is tipped away. Balsley going to go to Drake and play soccer as it goes off of Brown as she drives in.
Well, Johnston and Valley, too, for that matter. There's a big crop of college athletes on the floor, and it's not just basketball players, and that's one of the fun storylines for me every year at the state tournament is to see the gals that have been great volleyball players, the gals that have been great cross-country runners, the gals that have been great soccer players as well, getting it done on the basketball floor. So many of these gals through a lot of these teams we watch play softball as well at the state tournament. And it just makes it a lot of fun to watch their development over the course of 4 years because some of the great ones we see that long.
Dia Phillips, nice drive. You talk about, I was going to say when you made that comment a moment ago, how many times have we said another freshman in for Johnston? It has been an absolute factory of players here lately.
Johnston's that way, and another team that you look for to be strong coming down the road is the amount of freshmen that Waukee Northwest played throughout the course of this year too. And I know they ended just short of getting to the state tournament this year, but Pleasant Valley, I believe it was, that beat them, and that's going to be a team that's going to be very good down the road as well. They had as many as 5 freshmen on the floor. It's most you can have, but 5 freshmen on the floor at a time this year over with Coach Sam Powell.
Avery Ryan steps in front of that pass headed for Yeagers. We're under 3 minutes now. And Coach Utoff is going to get in some other Tigers into the action here. Ryan gets stuck and delivers the ball. Balsley, left-hander, no good. Going up is Phillips.
Ooh. It's like Brown might be a little banged up right now.
And Brown boxed out there, but boxed her player into the rebound. Right elbow shot, no good by Phillips. Ari's shot. And again, Ryan for 3, this time from in front of the bench, misses. Phillips gets the board again and a fresh 35. Phillips drives and scores, and now we're going to see the next wave of substitutions.
It's the Phillips.
I?
They're the ones keeping everything alive right now for Johnston, constantly deflecting the ball and keeping things going. It's turned into quite the kerfuffle down there.
As the free throw is made by Ari Phillips, and a substitution brought to you by IMT Insurance. Learn how you can be worry-free with IMT at IMTINS.com. For Valley, Lizzie Jarkow comes in, as does Bailey Utoff. Kiki Walker was already into the game. Olivia Adams, as the free throw is no good. For Johnston, let's see if we can get everybody there. Emma Gray, that 3 is no good. And the rebound is for Jarko. For Valley, as we're at the 2-minute mark.
Valley's actually out-rebounded Johnston for the game, which is interesting after the last couple possessions. Shows you how far ahead Valley was in rebounding.
Remsburg to Walker. That's Olivia Adams with it. The right-hand shot is good for Jarko.
I like that. Jarko keeping the ball high, don't bring it down, don't give anybody else a chance to go down and get it. The quick little hop to get it back up and in.
Ruby Pullman into the game. And I think we're going to see the other Pullman, Sydney. So 2 sets of twins, right?
And you may recognize that last name, Pullman. Her mother is head women's basketball coach at Drake.
Who is full of Iowa girls.
Yes.
Grace Berg, who played for one of the Valley assistants, Bert Hansen. Had a chance to talk to Bert before the game and said, hey, I saw they had a nice ceremony for Grace this year. And he said, he just smiled and goes, isn't she having a great season? just, those coaches don't forget their former players that were so special when Grace played here, when Bert was still coaching at Indianola. As Valley comes up with the basketball now.
I think those Pullmans are actually 2 of 3 triplets, I believe, over there for Johnston.
And the layup is no good, and again, Johnston with it. That's Gillett Cameron, coach's daughter. The second Gillett that's played for Coach.
That's got to be so much fun to have your kid down here playing at this level and being along for the ride, get an up-close personal view of all of it.
You know what's going on with the team. That shot is blocked. And I think it was that was Jarko who had the block. Now it's Linder, and being fouled is Grace Linder, the junior.
Yeah, she hit the deck hard, but popped right back up.
And we're going to get to see J.C. Lucky come in, the senior, for the final 36 seconds. Big second half for Johnston in this one as we play out the final few seconds.
Really has been, and they just kind of did their thing, and didn't really go on one of those long runs. We saw a couple like 6-0 runs, but never saw anything really longer than that.
I don't think Valley called a timeout in the first quarter. There was none of those big runs. You've seen that at state time and time again. Lucky just lost the handle for a moment, and now Johnston, they'll actually have to cross midcourt. They have to, otherwise they're trying to get the three. The shot off the mark, no good. As I think we were trying to get the senior one shot at the end. And that is how we finish. Johnston 60, Valley 31. An impressive opening round win for the number 1 team in 5A and a top 20 team in the USA. Valley will finish the year at 13-11, and they will graduate some great players, in Elise Yeager and Elon Litt, but they bring back a lot of freshmen and sophomores as they build to the future. As the Dragons will advance, and they are going to play here in a moment. Let's go to Tim Fitzpatrick.
In addition to receiving medallions, each participating player will receive a commemorative basketball provided by the Iowa Farm Bureau, proud title sponsor of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union. Presenting awards from the IGHSAU, our Executive Director Gene Berger and Basketball Administrator Gary Ross. Congratulations to Head Coach Matt Utoff and the Tigers from Valley on an outstanding basketball season. And now, Cameron Gillick will advance her team on the next round in the official bracket at center court. Johnson fans, your team advances to the 5A semifinals and will play the winner of our next game between Centennial and Milwaukee, be held on Thursday at 10 a.m. And fans, on behalf of the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union, we thank you for your support and attendance today and cheering on your favorite team. As a reminder, please exit carefully so we can prepare the arena for our next game. Thank you.
You're seeing a lot of the key parts of this game as we look at those recaps. That's Tylee White, the freshman. She would finish with 10. Big game for Amani Jenkins. She had 9. She just really controlled things inside, Andy.
She was a force not only on the offensive end early, but then the defensive end as the game went on.
And then one of those blocks in the game. Tanky would finish with 10. Kenneth with 9. Riley with 7. Jenica Lewis for 18. For the Tigers, it would be White with 10. Yeager with 10. Those are kind of your leading scores. But when you win by 29 in the opening round of the tournament, you get a lot of chance to get a lot of people on the floor, so some stats are going to look a little bit different. Now, Andy, as you wrap up for Johnston, anything that they can improve upon?
Well, they were really good. It's always hard as you watch a team that's as good as Johnston to nitpick at some things, but just really, really thought it was a complete victory for them today. They really controlled the game from the get-go, and I think that's exactly, if you could script it, if Coach Gillick could script things, that's exactly how he'd want to get things started.
Johnston will go to the locker room, shower up, and come back out to watch the winner of Waukegan Centennial, because that's who they will play Thursday at 10 a.m. We'll have that game here on the Digital Network. For Andy Pollack and the rest of us here on the Iowa Girls High School Athletic Union Digital Network, I'm Paul Yeager. Thanks for watching this Class 5A quarterfinal opening game of the tournament, Game 1. Game 2 is coming your way next. Thank you, and so long from Wells Fargo Arena.